Okay. Mitarin as Mikvaot. We have two mikvos that we're gonna have them converge in order for them to become kosher, and we're going to see it some machlekes rishonim if their problem is a shov problem or the problem is a choser problem. So right now we'll leave it open. We're not going to. We'll just imagine we know what's going on. All right. Ketzad, maybe silon shel cheres shel ever, umeniach yodo tachtov, achu mismale mayim. You somehow you use your hand as a stopper to fill the pipe up with water, umoishchai umashikoi, and you connect the two together. Afilu kesaira, even if they're only touching together, the amount of a saira v'dayoy. Okay, that's the end of this halacha. The next part of the Mishnah is a different halacha, so we'll just skip. We're not going to discuss it. Okay, so now let's see what's going on over here. I'm going to start with the second case. The second case is just problematic in simple understanding. Harochok min hakorov, you have two things that are far away. And we're afraid, as the Rav says, that somehow maybe somebody was mafsik the hashaka between them. Are we OCD? What's the answer to that question?
No.
Okay, you said that at least with a lot of confidence.
That would depend on what we're trying to do.
Yeah. Why should we entertain this issue, B'chal? So I think the Mishnah answers the question. I don't know what the answer to the question is, since it's a rochok and a karu. Since it's a long distance, so the statistics are stacked up against you somehow or another. That's what the Mishnah seems to infer. I don't know why it should be like that. I'm not right now discussing that issue, but that's what it seems to say. Since it's a rochok and a karu, so therefore we have to say that maybe something caused it to break in the middle. Now, I'll just tell you as a joke that someone asked Shulei Diskin once, how big should the socket of shchita be? So he said the smallest that's kosher up the halacha. You shouldn't have it any bigger than that. So I asked him why. So he said there's less place to get a pegima in it. The less knife that you have, the less chance of a pegima. So if you have an Erev with 1,000 Erev poles, so you have 1,000 problems to deal with. You have one with 50 Erev poles, you only have 50 problems to deal with, so to speak. So the fact that it's a long, is that a reason for it to be more of a problem that it's going to be hufsak or not? So I would say it depends on how big the flow is. Now, look, what is causing us to have this question? Why are we not OCD by having this question? That's basically the question that has to be answered. And if with the challenge of answering that question is when you come up with a good reason why you should be choishish, so then I'll say, so why aren't you choishish? We'll get you coming and going one way or the other. Is it shrer? It's not shrer. That's the question. So the first question that has to be answered is: are we talking about a deraisa or a derabbanan? Always, when it's a deraisa, we're more concerned than when it's a derabbanan. So the Mishnah Achrayna, he addresses this issue, and he brings a Mishnah in Para that the Mishnah in Para says that we're worried about it, that maybe it's going to be a problem. So he says, why over there are we worried about it in here not? Then he answers two answers. One is maybe over there it's a deraisa, and over here it's a derabbanan. And then I'm a balchov to explain why over here it's a derabbanan. And his other answer is over there. It's a chumrah the paraduma, chumrah tyra the paraduma, that we say that we have to be worried that maybe the thing was nifsak. All right.
Didn't we say there's two possibilities here? Either it's a problem of shuvim or a problem of chaser?
Yes.
So if it's shuvim, once it's connected for a second, we're done. We don't care if it's disconnected.
That's a very good question. That's a very good question. Is that statement though true? That we know that there's actually machlekes rishonim on that question, and shach. I don't have a Shulchan Aruch over here. We have a Shulchan Aruch guy. Parents, you could get a shach sifkat and kuf yud beis, siman reish aleph kuf yud beis. The Leket Yosher has a discussion about having a turntable to get svarim, because takes away schar of amelus b'Torah. He doesn't discuss looking it up on the internet. That takes care of anything. You have it? Should I go and get my Shulchan Aruch?
Like Kuf Chaf Aleph?
Kuf Yud Beis, if I'm not mistaken.
Kuf Yud Beis.
Shach, Siman Reish Aleph, Siman Kuf Yud, Sivkot and Kuf Yud Beis.
Oh, Reish Aleph, Kuf Yud Beis. Let me see what we get here. Reish Aleph, okay.
I'll go get my Shulchan Aruch.
Is that Kuf Yud Beis?
I think it is. Maybe make a mistake. It's Kuf Chaf Beis. Take a look.
It doesn't go up to Kuf Yud Beis.
It only goes up to Ayin Hay.
Yeah.
Sif Ayin Hay anyway. Whatever. Oh no, it goes in the him. It goes Kuf Yud Beis.
Yeah.
Okay. Can I share? I can share something. Let's see if I can share.
You might as well highlight it.
Yeah.
You make it larger for the old people, please?
Oh, did you find it?
Is this a Kuf Yud Beis we wanted?
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, that's it. Kuf Yud Beis. Okay.
Over there? By the,
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'll just read the Shulchan Aruch over here, so we could. Habola Arev Mikvah Posel Oy Chaser in Mikvah Kosher Lachshera Ishtem Chserim Tzorch Shia Nekesh Shebeneim Kshveres Hanod. Okay, which we know what that is. Well, I don't know if we know what it is, but we know what it is. V'la'achish Nesarev Absulam Makosha Afilo Rega Nisha LaOlam Bechshero Afilo Nistam Hanekev Acharkach. So this is the question that Peretz was asking. That once it's kosher, it's kosher. Says the Shach Kuf Yud Beis, Loilam Bechshero, for Rabbeinu Yerucham Kosov, Shenestapka Mefarshim, Im Nishar Sha'ov Bechsheroi, if it is like that, or Kivon Shenistam Hanekev, Chozo Lipsula Kivatchiloi, Umevio Beisayisiv Udarke Moisha, and Toiv Lahachmel Lechatchila. Parents, that's your job to translate those words. What do those words mean? Toiv Lahachmel Lechatchila.
what does that mean? I am not sure what it means here, because he already was tovel. So is it lechatchila or v'diavad?
No, that's v'diavad. But that means when you're making a mikvah, you don't rely on this nekuda. You want it that should be open the whole time.
Right, but
Okay.
in our case, it should be connected the whole time. But you're worried maybe it wasn't. So that sounds v'diavad to me.
Yeah, okay, that's true. The Mishnah Achroin Lamaisa, I just saying you made a statement. I just want I'm picking on you, so to speak, because you brought up an important nekuda. Is this a definitive thing or not? So the Mishnah Achroina says that obviously we're either not going according to Rav Yerucham or it's a Chatchila thing, or we're speaking about a problem of each mikveh is only 20 saw, whatever, not each one doesn't have the full amount, then obviously it has to be connected the whole time. But that's the answer to that question. Okay, so where'd my piece of paper go? Here, piece of paper. Okay. Okay, so they had a question over here. Why should you be choishish? So possibly one may say that my question over here is, if you know that it was attached, you have a cheskas kashrus over here. How could you say that it's possible? In other words, I'm asking a halachic question. If you don't know it was ever attached, no, that's a double poshet that you have to know at one time was attached. That seems implicit in the Mishnah, right? Now the question is, did it lose its attachment? But that it was attached, that you obviously have to know as a fact. So if you had that, so what is going to take away the cheskas kashrus? So it seems to me that the answer to that question is the distance. In other words, what we did was, and this is my understanding of the Mishnah, I didn't see this anywhere, this is my understanding of the Mishnah. We made an artificial connection between two mikvot. An artificial connection is weak. So therefore, maybe one would have to be concerned that something happened to it in the interim. If it would be close by, so we could assume that it's strong enough. Okay. Now, it also, I'm imagining over here, does this mean that you could see the whole thing at one time or not? How do you ever know that it's kosher? I have a mikveh on Rehov Lachish and a mikveh on Rehov Nachshon. Okay? Now, I cannot see both places at once. How do I ever know that it's kosher?
You have someone else look.
Okay, that could be. I know that, but we're saying here we have the question: do you have to have one person see it the whole time or not? How do we come to this conclusion? So there has to be some kind of verifying thing. But no, if you're right, Peretz, I have nothing against your answer, but you're a big machmer. In other words, I have to be able to say 1, 2, 3, go. Everybody, let's synchronize our watches and check it out and make sure that it's at the same time.
You take a telephone. You have two
What?
people on it. You have two people on the different streets,
That's
and
fine. That's fine. But what I mean to say is, I don't have a right to assume. I can't walk along and see, the whole time it's attached, and assume that's attached. Do I have to know or not? I could do that too.
How do you build a chazaka? You have to have something that you know beforehand.
So, but the question, this is that question that I'm asking. This is a halachic function or metziistic function. I'm walking along and I see the water running the whole time. So wherever I was running. I have no reason to say that it stopped. So now when I finish the whole thing, so now what? So if I just need to have a fact that I know that the whole way along it was running. And if I have to have a halachic yediyah, so I don't know it all at one time. Yeah, Shlomo, are you with me? What do you say? Yechiel, what do you say?
I say that that the Rav obviously is learning that when he says the solution of making sure that the pipe fills up and all that, that's only top to bottom. That's not side to side, right? That's not the long distance one.
The law in this is one. That's how it says. It says you don't have to be choishish, right? And it's I have a problem with reading the Mishnah. Harochok min hakarov, right? So he brings on this achismal moshul mashika. If you look at Sarah, so what is the problem with the roch of the karov? So, v'loy chayshinon shemaba adam v'hifsik hashakasai v'loy also loy tefillah. As I'm stuck, I'm,
I guess it's easier if we learn that this is a Durabanan. On the Rabbanan, we don't have that chashash.
no, I guess first, how do I substantiate that it was kosher in the first place, or do I don't have to? Do I have to be such a machmer like Peretz and Sheffer, and I have to have a guy with telephones along the way and say at 000 o'clock it was all attached, or I could just walk along and even though I never know about the whole thing at once, it's good enough.
Well, if you don't see anyone standing near it, then no one's stopping it.
Is that true? The only thing that's for sure is death and taxes.
Are you telling me about if at least around it is line of sight, you can make sure there's no one near it?
Yeah, so if you could see the whole thing at once, obviously I'm not. If you could see the whole thing, the Mishnah doesn't have to tell you. You don't have to be choishish someone was mafsik. That's what I'm telling you, right? It has to be that there's some. Before I ask the question about there's reason to have a halachic doubt, but if we're talking about you're looking at it, and he said when you see the whole thing, you don't have to doubt it that you're seeing. Nobody's choishish to cross-eyed.
So what's the question?
What is the chiddush of the Mishnah?
Right. The chiddush is that you don't have to see it, and we're not choishish.
So do you ask a question? You gave an answer.
That was an answer. So Rav asked, what's the chiddush? The chiddush is that you don't see from end to end. You can't see from end to end.
And you don't have to be choishish.
And you have to be choishish.
Now, I'm asking you, why should I have been choishish? Did you ever go into mikveh? You went into mikveh, maybe there's not a boy saw, maybe the mikveh was kosher and it became puzzle. So when someone comes and tells it to me, I say, you're OCD.
But over here, we're talking about either shuvin or whatever it is.
Whatever it is, why should I be choishish that something happened?
There's more
the
room
answer
for
has
it.
to be
No,
because it's told to happen.
It's a
I
situation
know
that's more
what
possible.
happened now is that I see that I made this connection, but I don't know that behind me somebody didn't stop it.
Why do you think that somebody's out to get you? You have some kind of a disorder.
Paranoia.
They're not out to get. They're not out to get you. They did it without intending to.
Tell me something, Paris. You get into your car every time. Do you check your tires to see if they don't slash them?
I make sure there's no bomb under the engine hood. I don't know.
You do? Okay, you should see a psychiatrist. why are you conscious that?
Oh, okay. I'm not, but it's just saying. Do you have to? The Mishnah is saying you can just assume that it's.
I'm just asking.
But
why,
we saw in Para.
Why?
But we saw in Para that
Before I get the Para, before you answer the question, why should I be concerned? That's the question.
Because it says more possibilities. It says a lot more
so it has
possibilities.
To be that so it has to be that there's a serious possibility. And the chiddush is that you're not mechuyev to be choishish. Why?
Because as cheskes kashrus, maybe. I don't know.
because it's only derabanan.
Okay, fine. I'm willing to accept what either answer, but I'm just pointing out that there's a question that needs an answer. If there is a question, then it needs an answer. We just said, don't ask the question. That's what the Mishnah said. Don't ask the question. Why not? If there was a question, then I'll ask it. I don't take I'm not threatened. All right. Anyways,
I like that the Tiferes Yisrael's shot in this in the Rachok and Karo.
what does he say?
Says there's two mikvahs that need the hashaka.
Yeah, therefore.
So one is directly getting hashaka and one is getting hashaka from the hashaka.
What does he say?
in the first. No, he brings on the second shot there.
Yeah. 1 second. Let me just see. I don't know. This is a shver zach because we already had this mikvah when you have the 3 mikvahs of 2020, right? So what is the pshat in what he's saying?
But the
He's saying maybe you should
2020,
just say,
the middle one was the kosher one.
that's but so let's play this out. So we're not choshe. You would think that we should say that just the one close to it became kosher, and the one the associated property didn't work. Why
Right.
shouldn't it work? Because maybe we ran out of water. Why shouldn't it work?
Because it's the hashaka, he says the hashaka is very thin.
So Kamash Malon, why it doesn't work?
Maybe because it's not getting anything from the original, from the kosher mikvah. I don't know.
No, just
Maybe that's what he's saying. I don't know.
I don't know. Okay, so we'll have to sit and learn this also. But it just proves my point that the Mishnah is difficult to understand. Right? He's trying to figure out where mechatesim. If there's a good question, we don't have a good answer, and we don't have a good question. That's our problem. So that's the problem with this. Well, that's not a joke. I'm serious. They don't have a good question. All right, let's go now to the first part of the Mishnah. You have an Elyon and a Tachton, and somehow we're going to connect them, and this connection is going to be metaher the Elyon or the Tachton. What is it being metahered from? So the Rambam seems to go, and that's why most people learn the Rambam, that it's talking about that it's a chaser. Okay? And if that's the word is chaser, so we're very happy with the second case of Rochak and Karev, because there it has to be attached the whole time. Otherwise, you're tuck out of business. That's okay. So what does the Rambam say? Where are we over here? Yeah. Yeah. Last words, V'nishlam Hashir. You see it? Anybody has a Rambam? He says, V'nei me'eis she'yifgash k'tzei hasilon b'mayim asher bo l'mayim asher b'mikvah v'nischabru hamayim b'mayim v'nishlam Hashir. So the Rambam in Pirush HaMishnah and the Rambam in Yad seem to learn that we're talking about the psul of chaser, and then avada the halacha of sheferes hanoid would have to be a deraisa dikadin, because we're talking about a psul, no, a serious psul. Okay.
But in the first part of the Rambam's Perush on the Mishnah, he talks about shuvim.
He talks about both, right? But he puts them together because it doesn't make a difference. Both, I agree with you. Both are true. If you would have asked me, and I think that I'm right now I have no nagias right now what I'm saying. If the Mishnah doesn't say anything, I think it's talking about everything. We know that you need Sheres HaNoid for more than one din. So I'll assume that it's talking about everything until it tells me otherwise. I think that's the healthy approach to go to when you're learning the Mishnah.
What does the Rambam say with the words Afilu Kesara?
We'll get to the Afilu Kesara. That's a problem without, according to everybody, that's a problem. We never had the Shir of Saira. I'm going to read right now the Rash, and then we'll see. He's troubled with this Mishnah. And he asked the question. He said, what's going on over here? Shnei mikvos b'shipur ahar ve'ein bo memsar v'tachli yesh memsar. So he starts off that we're talking about chaser, okay, and then he runs into trouble. Soon he's going to run into trouble.
It's hard to fill it up backwards.
Well, that's a problem. It's hard to make a shaka either backwards, right? You don't have to fill it up. You just have to have it attached, and then it works automatically.
Right, but the problem is that it has to remain attached the whole time, and if you're on a downhill, that's a hard thing to
Well,
pull up.
there it doesn't say that when you're going to have the water running down, and nobody's going to say that you can be soymech on what was there before. The rochok min hakorav.
If
the
the upper
Rambam-
one is the chasar, he's saying the upper one's the chasar?
It could be either way.
Well, lower one chasar, I mean, like the Rambam says, so it'll fill up or whatever. But if the upper one's the chasar, so,
So how do you do it? That's why you have to fill the pipe with water and attach it.
right, and now they're attached and the water's coming down, you let go and the water starts coming through.
But then
That's
already
getting
attached.
emptier now. It's getting
Right.
emptier now, and somebody
That's
better
right.
dive in quickly and,
All right, correct,
or drop his kalim in or whatever.
correct.
Right, okay.
I'll just tell you, there's a joke from Reb Chaim, which I said over in the beginning of the Masechta, and I'm saying it again. It's not a joke. But when Reb Chaim was Rashiva in Volozhin, so and his entrance exam, he used to ask. I forgot what these questions are called. They have a name for them. You have to visualize scenarios. This was a very important mental exercise to be a lamdan. So like one of the questions was, he asked, is a train going from Varsha to Krakow every hour on the hour? How many trains will you pass? When, these kind of questions that you have to envision all the things going on. And he wanted the person to realize every half hour you're going to see a train, not every hour. That was the point of because you're going the opposite direction, you're going to eat one every half hour. These are not Torah questions. These are thought processes. So one of them was, he asked the person went into the mikveh and there's two people. How can we be certain that both of them will be kosher, that feel if there's exactly our boy saw in the mikveh and you hold nitzuk and ketafras ein achiba? I'll just tell you the answer to the question, and it's not whatever you're thinking, you're spinning your wheels. So no, it's not the answer to the question. It says that it's very simple. There's two ways to toivel in a mikveh. One is you go in the mikveh, come out of the mikveh, and the other way is the mikveh goes out of the mikveh. If someone pulls the drain on the mikveh, that is also toivel. So when the first guy goes out, now the mikveh is not our boy saw, it's ki'ilu the second guy went out also. They just have to be underwater at the same time.
What, they were both in at the same time?
They're both underwater at the same time. That's easy to do.
Yeah.
And now, even if one guy comes out first, so he took water out, so now you have a 39 saw mikveh, so the other guy's also toivel.
He was tovel already.
Well,
You have to come up to finish your tefillah.
yeah, the tefillah out. We already discussed that kesef mission. The tefillah happens when you come up, when you come out. So when you could take the water out of the mikveh, so that the guy's also kosher. Anyways, that's. I'm just answering your question. How do you just put it in and then it'll work. At some time the mikveh will become kosher and then it becomes puzzle. Anyways, that's question number 2 on this thing. So I want to finish the Rosh. It's a very important Rosh. Okay. Good. I just looked it up. ולכן נגיע לתחתו שלא יצא המים בחוץ עד שיסמל וישן. ברוך מן הקרוב, חשינן שם הבא אדם בהפסקה של כוסוי, ולעושה לו תפילה. וקושה, איך מסחברים על ידי חוט הסיירה? Here's Yechiel's question. How could they become kosher with the chibur of חוט הסיירה? ולכל הפוכס, אפילו רב יהודה, מקל בריש פרק שני, דגיתן, תופח להצליח בוי, and for some reason he assumes that Saira is less than that, which I don't understand why. ולא מסתבר למהם שיחד שיעורו, לגבי כתויסו תני, שפרס הקליפוס השום. And he understood Saira is much less than that. So he wants to know, how can you have a continuous hechsher of only a Saira? Venira, now we're not going to explain this exactly. Venira, the farish la'ari hocha b'choser, not like we assumed in the Reisha of his pshat. Ella b'shalem, Ella shushov. The problem is a shuvim problem. Umashikoy lahachsher ulachshiroi. V'sagi b'chut hasayra. And once it had a kosher, it's enough of chut hasayra. The kilo b'shuva derabonon, that's enough. The Shema, listen to this question. This. We're not worried about a silon that it's at the ketafris because we say a ketafris is in the chibur. So how can it work? And his answer is it's shiva derabonon, and therefore we're not concerned with this problem. So I just said Chaim Granum, and he's very busy with this Rash. He wants to know if the part is that ketafris chibur. So what do you need the silon for? What do you need this whole apparatus? And he has what to say on that subject. But this is, so what did he do? He said somehow or another, he left us hanging. He said, all you really need is a shver sanayit, or you need a saira. What did he say you need?
Saira.
A saira. So it sounds like a new shir for Shiva Derabanan that you need a saira, which needs a hezber. Says the Rosh. The Rosh asked the same question, and his answer, so to speak, is worse. The Ketzav Agil Shasheni, Belyon Yoser Yodoi, Shaminiach Batachton, you let go of your hand that's on the bottom of the thing. The Nimshash and Ischabro Ashnei Mikvaot. What's it? Here it is. Lefisha Sila Mata Achi Smala Silan Gam Lamailo, Ukishayosa Yodoi, Nimsa Shnea Mikvos Michuvor B'mayim Baroicha Shveres Hanoid Rega Achas. Ukishayerdo Hamayim Lamata Yishar Mushakim Kisairo. And here we have a problem. We invented a new shir. We said Shveres Hanoid. At least we were able to be matche in the Rash and say we have a new shir of Saira for Shov D'Rabbanon, and we could swallow hard on such a pshat. But the Rosh, he makes, I love this word, hibridi. We'll say it's a hibridi. We have a Shveres Hanoid, and the Shveres Hanoid turns into a Saira. How do we justify such a thing? So I'm going to tell you the mahalach that after going through a serpentine of many achronim, what seems to me the most plausible answer to the question.
He's not saying one is to make it kosher and the other one is just to maintain the kashrus?
Yeah, that's great. Could you just tell me that with trup that makes sense?
To change it from shuvim to non-shuvim, you need more. But to keep it non-shuvim.
Why? Where do you get that from?
I'm saying just logically, it says that what we did about shofar sanod before.
No, so where do we ever have? And I'd like to quote Peretz Nissen. Once it's Beseder, it's Beseder.
And I'll quote the Rav that it doesn't say that way. You need to maintain it.
So then why shouldn't you have to maintain it with what you need to do it? You have to explain to you why maintenance needs less.
Well, you want to push your car to start it, you need 5 people. Once it's going, one person could do it. You know.
That's wonderful. Next time I need a push, I'll give you a call.
And
no, but you're and it's a maskim to the mahalach. It doesn't have any explanation to it. That's what's called a plan. You could say yes, that it's harder to make something than to maintain. But you have to explain why they have 2 different shiurim. It's a wonderful plan, but it's missing the explanation.
You mean you need a makor, you think?
No, I need an explanation. Why does it need less? And what is it doing? maybe just for your, maybe we should have a klipas hashum. Maybe we should have tviach almanas latviach. What is this shir? What is it doing? So I'm going to tell you a explanation, which I really don't think I should take credit for because I believe it comes out of many different mefarshim put together. There's a question on this Mishnah, which is that there's a psul of Havaya Yedei Tairo, Havaya Yedei Tumo, whatever you want to call it, which is actually, according to some, the forerunner to Shuvim. So here you have the fellow who he is physically creating the mikveh. So why don't we have that problem? And Kolshkem, we have the problem of the pipe, which is seeming to be a tolush pipe, and that should be a problem of Klisha Makabel Tuma. And not only that, the Mishnah is so difficult for us that he makes it clear that it doesn't make a difference what the pipe is made out of. What does he say? Shel Eber, which is a klimatchis. That's what kaptute klimatchis Makabel Tuma. And if I'm not mistaken, the Rosh or somebody says this is telling us it doesn't make a difference what it's made out of. So the point of the Mishnah is telling us that I don't care about the problem of Havaya Yedei Tumah. And why is that so? So the answer, which I'm going to answer, I don't know if I can blame this on anybody. It's a culmination of many things that I saw.
You already have a kosher mikveh, right?
And therefore,
so
you're warm.
Huh? Right. So
you're warm.
It's not Havaya Al Yedei Tuma. You're just connecting the kosher to the non-kosher. You're not creating a mikveh with Tuma. You're merging mikvahs with the Tuma.
He's saying the second.
You are extending a kosher mikveh. So being that we're talking about an existing mikveh, that you're just extending it, so therefore it's not called Havaya Al Yedei Tumah. Now, so for that, all we have to have is something to see it as an extension. As far as the water issues that have to be created, the She'uvim issues, or maybe the Mila issues, we have the She'uvim issue, we have the Shefer Sano take care of it. But for it to be considered that it's always an extension, so we have to have some kind of a trickle there to see the connection. Otherwise, we say, no, you created a new mikvah, and then it's a Havaya Yedei Tumah. But as long as it was a connection, there's another do that we're talking about. This is a new subject which was never discussed. We're discussing how do you take care of a problem of Havaya Yedei Tumah, and the answer is as long as you have a trickle connecting it to another mikvah, that's enough for Havaya Yedei Tumah. That's the answer to this question. I mean, my answer to this question. It's not mine. It's not mine. It comes from many things that I saw. All right, I guess we'll stop over here. We're getting somewhere, right?
Right. So next week we're going to do the second half of the Mishnah, right?
Yeah.
If we remember.
Filling up the lower mikvah.
Yeah, I just tell you, Shefer, this is your subject over here. The Rashba on this Mishnah is one who says that it has to be that the Kli was made to be Mechuber L'Karka, because otherwise there'll be a problem of She'uvim. And the Noid Yehuda says, this way disagrees. I told you last week on the phone. Here is this headquarters of this issue. All right, have a good night.
Quick question on davening.
By the way, parrots,
yes.
You're lighting the wrong amount of candles over there.
We're ready. We're ready for the whole week.
Okay. An auto light?
It's auto, yeah.
Okay.
Quick question. I don't know if it came up by you. Have you been davening for the Amud of Hanukkah?
I'll tell you very interesting. My mother, Oliver Shalom, passed away. I didn't daven Shachris, and many people asked me what they should do, and I told them the same thing. Daven Mincha Ma'ariv, don't daven Shachris, like the Mishnah Berurah is the Pashas of Mishnah Berurah, even though there's a steer in the Mishnah Berurah. And a friend of mine told me was a Chassidish guy. He said that I'm davening Shachris too. So I said, what's with you? So he said, the shul that I'm davening is a Litvish shul. They don't care. So it's a schus for the neshama, so I'm going to daven. So I said, that could be, but mitzitchot, that's the wrong thing to be doing. Whatever, fine.
No, the question was like this: for someone who does it, so he has someone else do halal, right? Can't do halal. The Chatzi Kaddish after halal on Hanukkah, does that go with the halal?
No, it goes with the it goes part of Shmona Esrei.
The Chatzi Kaddish is no, it's not the Shalom. It's not Tiskabel. Just the
Raya is from Tu B'Shvat, if I'm not mistaken. That's the only time that you have nothing.
What?
You just have Shmona Esrei and you say Chatzi Kaddish.
Well, anytime you don't have Tachon, you have Laning, you have a Chatzi Kaddish.
Yeah, I don't know what this. I can't remember the cheshbon to this. The answer is it goes to the
Goes to the Baal Shachris.
The Baal Shachris, yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. I know. I was actually thinking about what in the world is Chatzi Kaddish exactly, but I don't have exactly a good answer. I have to look at that sefer that I have paired. Yechiel, that sefer will take care of that issue.
Chatzi Kaddish.
All right.
It's a separation, right?
It has to be the rule is that every Kaddish has to be some kind of not only separation. It's a closure of a it's not checked to the new one. It's a closure of the old one. It's not just a separation. It's a closure.
So it's not a closure to halal. It's a closure to Shon Esrei.
Correct. I would imagine. I don't know this. I would imagine if you said Kaddish on halal by itself, you'd probably say Kaddish Yosem. When do you say Kaddish Yosem? That makes no sense. After Shir Hashirim. You don't say Kaddish Rabbanon. You don't say Kaddish Rabbanon after Agarata. You don't say Chatzi Kaddish. And you don't say Tiskabel because it's not a tefillah.
Right. So default is Yosem.
I guess so. I'm telling you this is what I saw. And, not that what I saw in a sefer. I see that that's what you do. And I was very perturbed. Why in the world would you say Kaddish Yosem afterwards?
And why say any Kaddish?
Yeah, that's probably a good question too. I will just tell you, someone told me this week that the Briskerov, he was a Ma'it Mikadeshim, but when he had Yartzeit, he said Kaddish after Mizmor Shir. So I said, Kaddish after Mizmor Shir, what in the world is that? So the guy said, I have no idea. We don't know what Kaddish after Mizmor Shir is. We don't know. And I will just tell you the I daven for the Amud Vasikin now. And we finished at 7:14 and a half. And the minyan that's after us was already itchy to get started at 7:15. So the guy gets up there, it's Nusach Sfar. The guy gets up there and he starts Hoidi. So the guy says, no, Kaddish D'Rabbanon. So he looks at him and says, you didn't just hear Kaddish D'Rabbanon? And I was, we just heard Kaddish Yosem. This is Nusach Sfard. In Ashkenaz, the last Kaddish is Kaddish D'Rabbanon. In Sfard, the last Kaddish is Kaddish Yosem, right? And then they had like a little bit of a skirmish about if we're going to do another Kaddish or not, but they were mavater on the Kaddish. I don't know exactly. Your davening has to start off with a Kaddish D'Rabbanon, even though it has nothing to do with what was just happening. All right. Anyways,
if you're doing Mizmor Shir, then it works good with the Sephardi minyan because you have the D'Rabbanan and then the Yosem.
Yeah, but the Sephardi minyan,
piggyback them.
The Sephardi minyan, which I daven at Vasikin, they're very nice people to me. And when I started davening there, they said that our policy is that we let people who daven Ashkenaz, you can daven for the Amud Ashkenaz, but you have to daven in the order of Sfard. In other words, they don't care what nusach you say except for Vyasach Pekune, which is obviously, otherwise it's not Kaddish Bechlau. But they don't care really if you say like some of these wonderful things in Shemona Esrei, you know.
Geshem or Gashem?
No.
Avarachaman.
I saw it on the school.
But you say in the ones beforehand, the Atzenu, and then they have one for Mashinim. They have all these. They have a whole bunch of, what?
Nishananu or something.
Yeah, you're right. All these things. They don't care. You could do it. You could do it all Ashkenaz. That doesn't bother them.
I davened one time by Rav Eisenstein. This is near where my parents are.
Yeah.
And they have a sign up there that the Chazan has to do Ashkenaz, including Hagashem instead of Geshem.
Who says that that's Ashkenaz?
Yeah, who says it's Ashkenaz? Yeah.
Well, apparently they say that. I don't know.
Yeah, okay, that's their
That
opinion.
was what the sign had. I don't know what it is.
Okay.
Can I ask a different quick question?
Yeah.
Why did not the rabbis institute for Malshinim for the Greek holiday? Why did they wait for Shmuel HaKatan to institute it? Why wasn't it instituted much earlier? This is a good time. The Greek holiday is a good time to institute it.
Why does the Greek holiday have to do with Malshinim b'miuchad?
It starts off with Malshinim, but they talk about all of the Oivei Yisrael. The Greeks were high up on the list.
Well, were the Mashinim non-Jews or Jews?
No, I only started out with Malshinim, but if you look at the rest of the words, anybody who makes trouble for the Jewish people. These guys were.
Is it talking
It was
about?
really It was a different bracha. It was. I think they were dealing with Christians, pastors, right?
But I'm asking, why didn't they institute a bracha 2 centuries earlier for the Greeks?
Okay, we'll have to. I think that the answer to that, I don't know the answer, but I think that the answer to your question is that your question is exactly the opposite. What was he instituting the bracha for? No, the Jews were oppressed always. So what were they instituting it for? There was obviously something going on at that time that caused it to be instituted.
Wasn't that a way to weed out the Chazanim?
It was to separate the Jewish messianists, the ones that were becoming Christian.
Well, that exists by Hanukkah too.
The Hellenists were necessarily.
No, but they were totally separate. They were totally separate. These were people that were also Jewish at the same time.
Okay.
They couldn't tell the difference between them.
Did they have it while the Beis Hamikdash was there?
Yeah, he was there. Yashka was there during the Beis Hamikdash.
I'm saying the Shemona Esrei like we have it. The
order was Shmuel
Yeah,
HaKatan, that's what he's asking.
the Anshe Knes Hagdolah was one of the Masakin, and that's
No, but Shmuel HaKatan was later. Anshe Knes Hagdolah gave us 18.
This Shinui, but the Shemona Esrei that we have was already around. I don't know if
Bracha number 19.
Arizal was there then. I don't know if Arizal was there, but
what they did it Nusach Arizal, no question.
Right, obviously. but we're talking about the institution of bracha number 19, which was later. When was that? How much later was it? When was it?
We'll have to check it out.
Did everyone say Shemona Esrei 3 times a day during the Beis Hamikdash, or did that just start afterwards? They made the tefillah, but what was the usage then?
I would imagine that there are many rights from the Gemara that they had shuls in the times of the Beis Hamikdash also. I can't answer that question. When was it instituted that you have to say it? But it seems here from the Gemara that it was around. It was connected ovos, connected midim, but what it's something to do with when it was said. Well, we'll have to get exact. We'll have to see if we can find something for you. Okay.
Nice.
Okay. Have a good night.
Freilich in Chanukah.
Hanukkah.
Oh, man. Okay. All right.